Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of Chatt It Up Sports. I almost said something else out of muscle memory.
Yep, you do that 3 times a week, so I get it. I get it, dog.
I'm Malcolm Harris. To my left is my brother, back from the great West Coast, San Diego. Chase Treen Green, happy belated birthday.
Thanks, big dog.
Yeah. How was it?
35 years young.
35 large.
Birthdays are just different when you're older. I had some cannolis, some cookie cake.
Nice.
It's got the sweets in, and I was in bed by like 9:30 last night.
Awesome.
It's great stuff.
That's beautiful. That's maturity at its finest.
It is, yeah. We took family photos yesterday.
Nice.
It was a disaster because we didn't get snacks. So Gracie had a panic attack. So there's a lot of bad photos in there, guys. So
We call that character.
yeah.
A little seasoning, if you will.
Yeah, we are 0 for 5 on school pictures or family pictures because she does not like photography. It's like, you're going to be a star. Get used to it.
Get used to it. Sorry, put the basket in the bucket. I mean, it's just going to come with the territory.
It sure is. It sure is. So there's my life story. Yeah, if you guys ever get a chance, go to San Diego. Sick.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. To my right, if you guys can see him, behind this lovely wall that we have is our producer, Joseph Guthrie. Jay, what's up, brother? Show
What's
the
up,
people
boys?
your face.
Hey,
Look at those helmets.
Yeah, you got the
man.
4-peat in
the
there.
helmet wall, man.
Got the
Minus
mask.
this one. Screw this.
No, that one's actually the sickest one if you really look at it. I mean, that's a authentic Ole Miss Rebel blue helmet, man.
Is it the sick? Dude, I'm going to be honest. I'm partial to this.
Are you really?
This Michigan State one.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's clean. Now, the Oregon one, that's a special place in my heart.
Of
but
course.
that's
Yeah.
just, that is what it is.
Yeah.
But this Michigan State one's clean.
That's
super clean.
The mat was better than you sold it for.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. 100%. But the helmet wall still looks immaculate.
And with the wall behind him in our satellite office in Alabama, we have the man, Coach G, Greg Larner. G, what's up, brother?
Hey, boys. Good to be back. Happy belated birthday, Chase. Miggy, you're looking awesome per usual. Jason, Joseph, you look great. I love the wall there. We're just missing Drew a little bit, but it's good to be back with you guys. And I kind of echo what Chase said about San Diego. It is one of the best places. It is probably my favorite city that I've ever been to in the United States. So glad you had a good time, and I'm jealous you got to go there.
I get it. There's an alternate universe where I'm beach bumming. Me and Rocco just living out there. Instead, I found a home on wonderful Signal Mountain.
Hey, that could be worse.
Could be a lot worse.
Could be a lot worse. This guy that we're about to bring out, though, I've known now over a decade. It's crazy. I had a lot more hair when we first met. He's representing, of course, 104.5 The Zone out in Nashville, Titans Radio, Nashville SC. I mean, Friday Night Rivals. I mean, this guy does everything, and in his spare time decides to come on Chatt It Up Sports, man. So 3 claps one time for my brother, Mr. Lucas Panzica. Lucas, what's up, boy?
What's up, boys? Appreciate you guys having me. Malcolm, good to see you, man. You
Good to
say
see you
over
too,
a decade, man. That's painful. That's painful to hear, but it is what it is. Life goes on, man. Appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, appreciate you being here, bro. I know things have been busy on your end, and we're a long ways away from those sports mecca days at the University of Tennessee, but it's the more things change, the more they stay the same. So,
No doubt.
let's jump into it. See, I mean, you're the resident Titans fan, so I'm gonna lob this up and just let you convert the deal, bro.
Yeah, dude. I know it's draft like joy and belated, and you mentioned it off pod here. Is we feel like we do off seasons really well in Nashville. I like this draft. I was a fan of Borgonzi. Thought he's just got a good tone, good demeanor. Who so far, after you've had a weekend to stew on it, who was your favorite pick of this draft for the Titans?
The easy answer is Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
And as much as I tried to go through and kind of overthink, okay, but maybe the value you get here, it's Carnell Tate. It's the guy that you can just put on the field and say, instead of waiting around this discussion about maybe is Sonny Styles the higher ceiling players, Arvell Reese the higher ceiling player, just go ahead and get a guy that's going to help your quarterback now. Like, make it happen now. Don't delay that process any further. So I liked the pick, not to mention you got to go back a ways to find a first-round wide receiver out of Ohio State that didn't hit big in the NFL, right? And usually I love steering away from that, right? I don't care that Ohio State quarterbacks don't succeed in the NFL. To me, that's got nothing to do with C.J. Stroud, right? Bama quarterbacks, people like to toss those sort of trends out there. But when it comes to the Ohio State receivers and this developmental line that have all been produced by Brian Hartline, Carnell Tate's pretty much the second to last one, with Jeremiah Smith coming out next year. So I'm good with the Titans jumping on that train and giving Cam Ward that 3-level threat, sure hands, deep ball threat, just a sure-handed route technician receiver. So it's hard for me to say anything other than Carnell Tate, but very intrigued by Nicholas Singleton in the 5th round. With how much running back was discussed in this draft, it felt like Titans fans were head over heels for Jeremiah Love. That obviously wasn't feasible. But to address that position with a running back that, at the heights of his career was helping Penn State to the college football playoff semifinal with a 1,000-yard season, highly touted recruit coming out. He's an interesting twist to this running back room that already includes Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears.
Yeah, especially with the fact that we've just seen it too many times. Like, running backs are great value picks later on, and finding him later on. And unfortunately, it's due to Penn State's lack of success last year. I'm sure it's helping in his fall. And, those two running backs, him and Katron, were very, very high draft picks going into last year's season. And you're like, oh, those guys are going to be two of the best, if not two of the best running backs taken in the draft next year. Obviously, things just happened and they fell. But I was interested to see the way that they spoke about Tate and our offensive guys. And you mentioned it, like, it's just surround our franchise quarterback right now with the best weapons. I feel like that's a good lesson to learn from Salah of, like, hey, this is what we got to do. Like, we've got to make sure our offense is well taken care of as a defensive guy. It feels like he's kind of going against his early instincts from the Jets days. Like, let's fix this process. Obviously, him and Borgonzi are working together, but it's like, this is a new regime. We've got a great OC. Are you excited about Dayball? I feel like we've got two guys that are like, I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson in New York. Let's kind of figure this out and make things awesome in Nashville.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, no doubt. And if you want to tack on the third phase there, John Bones Fossil is one of the best to do it in the NFL as the special teams coordinator. So, I mean, it's hard not to get really excited about the staff that Robert Saleh put together. I think that's the biggest selling point, for him right now with his Titans tenure, in terms of, can he sort of clear up the things that went wrong in New York? How much of that is just the stink of the Jets? You take confidence from the fact that those defenses played at a level that you associate with Robert Saleh in New York. Can he bring that here where he's calling plays, which he did not do as the head coach of the Jets? But Brian Daboll, to your point, there couldn't have been a name with more gravitas, in my opinion, to bring in more so than Brian Daboll, who's done it now at multiple places, who's been a head coach, who's helped develop young quarterbacks at every stop in his career, especially in the last decade or so. But that made for an interesting dynamic in the draft room, right, where you have a GM in Mike Borgonzi, the head coach in Saleh, and then there's kind of the head coach of the offense in Brian Daboll, and there was so much sort of pushing and pulling, at least amongst the fan base, with the number 4 overall pick. There were options there, which there hasn't really been for the last few years. Last year it was Cam Ward. We knew it the whole way at the number 1 overall pick. The year before that, it kind of came down to who's going to be available, Joe Alt or J.C. Latham. You knew the Titans were going to take a tackle. There were 5-6 options, guys, that were legitimately feasible at the number 4 overall pick in this draft. And so the question was, are they going to go offense or are they going to go defense? I think they went the safe route. This whole draft just feels like it's all about raising the floor of this team, right? Not a lot of big swings on prospects that have high ceilings but have a lot of question marks around them. Just a lot of guys that you feel like raise your floor, and the Titans desperately need the floor to be raised higher than 3 wins a season.
G, you want to take it?
Sure, I'll go. Chase talked a little bit about your favorite picks in the draft. Now I want to kind of ask a little bit about, you kind of just alluded to it a little bit with some of the other guys that they took within this draft, other than Tate and Singleton. Who was the player that kind of left you scratching your head a little bit, like, maybe not sure about that pick or that decision? Was there anybody within this class that you kind of maybe thought was a little bit questionable, or maybe they could have went a different way at a specific pick?
I don't know that there were any big reaches. I don't think folks expected to see off-ball linebacker with that 3rd-round pick, with the need that there is on the interior of the offensive line with this group. Jackie Marshall, I think if you're just to listen to draft experts maybe went a little bit sooner than you would think. But again, with every year that goes by, I feel like I try to drift further and further away from just boxing ourselves into, okay, this is where X player should go, right? At the end of the day, that's got nothing to do with Mike Borgonzi's draft board. So, I mean, Greg, not to cop out, but I don't know that there's one clear-cut answer to your question. Maybe I would say for them to wait as long as they did to address the interior of the offensive line. You don't want need to dictate the draft that much, but you're working with a couple guys on one-year deals to fill those crucial spots at center and right guard. And Pat Coogan is a player that's hard not to love. The leadership qualities, what he did for Notre Dame and then Indiana, leading them on that national championship. I mean, the dude won offensive MVP of the Rose Bowl as a center. Like, you absolutely love that. But there are some limitations there athletically. There's a reason why he fell to day 3. So I think, there was kind of an itch there from Titans fans to find those solutions at center and right guard a little bit sooner in the draft than they did. But, they check off a couple of boxes with those guys like Carmona out of Arkansas, Coogan out of Indiana, and they're going to come in and compete and see if they can hold the line in front of Cam Ward.
Real quick, maybe before you go, I just want to ask a quick follow-up about Keldrick Falk. What did you think about that pick as their second pick in the draft? Towards the end there, the edge rusher out of Auburn. No, he just had 2 sacks last season. He's got obviously all the physical attributes, and you're hoping that Saleh, as a defensive guy, can kind of turn him into a little bit more of a prolific pass rusher. Were there any questions about him, or do you feel pretty good about him?
I don't think there were a lot of questions because of where they drafted him. Now, I will say the Titans were more aggressive in this draft than I think any of us expected. Like, the mantra for this team, really since Mike Borgonzi came on, was about building draft picks, building the foundation of the team through the draft, which means you need picks. I think the message they sent was 30 draft picks in the next 3 years, and that was going into the 2025 draft. That's kind of the mark they were looking to hit. So I was surprised to see them aggressively moving back into the first round, aggressively moving back into the second round the way that they did. But end of the day, they saw a guy with high upside in Keldrick Falk, a high-character guy that, by all accounts, was a leader at Auburn, has never been an issue. You feel like he's going to come in here and work on day one, can immediately come in as a run-stopping defender on the edge, big, burly player that fits kind of the size profile that Robert Saleh likes. And you got to develop him into a pass rusher, maybe with more in his arsenal and maybe with more of an ability to finish, right? You mentioned the 2-sack number from this past year. That dropped from 7 the year prior. And what you saw in 2025 was, Dane Brugler described it, a lot of almost plays, right? Just affecting the quarterback, getting to the pocket, but just not quite getting home, not quite being the one to clean up and take down the quarterback to ultimately get that sack number on your statistics. But, if you're going to draft a high upside edge rusher, to do it late in the first round feels like good value. Early in the draft process, people were talking about Keldrick Falk maybe in that top 10 range, and that always felt like it was a bit of a reach for a guy that is a bit of a projection. But it was a big need. And if you can get Keldrick Falk to bring you something in year one as a rookie, and Femi Oladejo can take a step forward, suddenly you're cooking with gas with the Titans pass rush, trading for Jermaine Johnson in the offseason too. There are a few ifs in there, though, but that's why Robert Saleh is here.
Robert Saleh is here, and I wanted to ask, given his background and, my affinity for this player I'm about to mention, why was Caleb Downs not a discussion at 4? Why do you think that is?
That's a great question, man. I don't know. I don't know where he was on their board, to be honest with you. He should have been in the discussion. He wasn't really, from our perspective, for whatever that's worth, right?
Yeah.
For us, it really came down to Jeremiah Love if he's available, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, David Bailey if he's available, Carnell Tate, Ruben Bain kind of fell out of that discussion as the process went further and further along. But there's a reality, Malcolm, where Caleb Downs is the best defensive player in this draft. If you fast forward 5 or 6 years. I mean, what a home run for the Cowboys to find him outside of the top 10. Yeah. I'm with you. There was kind of a weird report about his knee a few weeks ago that was shot down by a lot of people and just didn't really feel like it had a lot of substance. But I don't want to sit here and say positional value, but when you look at the number 4 overall pick and taking what they thought was the best wide receiver as opposed to taking a safety, then I think you just have to come back with the answer positional value with the number 4 overall pick. maybe you feel like Caleb Downs would have been somewhat of a luxury pick for the Titans at 4, a team that has so many holes in critical places and are desperate to get something around this young quarterback.
Definitely. I want to talk and look around the division. And Chase, please hop in here because you watch this every Sunday, brother. So how I look at the division.
He tries to when it's decent to watch.
Yeah.
The South, I mean.
I gave up this year. I was like, there's only so much I can do here.
You got
There's a lot of yard work done.
A lot of yard work
on Sundays
done.
around 1 p.m.
A lot of walks with Gracie.
Yeah.
You got the Jags, obviously coming off of that horrendous loss to the Bills in the postseason. You got the Colts, which are a huge question mark, giving $134 million to the 40th best receiver in football in Alec Pierce. And then you got the Houston Texans, who are paying 33% of their salary cap to 2 defensive linemen. My question is, the Titans, what does the outlook now look based on, I'd say, the moves that have been made, not only in free agency, but now with the draft wrapping up? Where's your head at with this, Lucas?
Well, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of ifs on the defensive side of the ball with the pass rush, but I think the Titans will be able to find ways to manufacture a pass rush with Robert Saleh, with Jeffrey Simmons and John Franklin Myers at the base of it. Jeffrey Simmons has not been in a better place in terms of who's playing directly next to him since he was a rookie with Jarrell Casey next to him and kind of making a name for himself in this league. So there are absolutely pieces there for Robert Saleh to work with defensively, and it's going to boil down to Cam Ward, and it's going to boil down to this offensive line and how many opportunities he gives Cam Ward to make that sort of year 2 leap that you expect from a number 1 overall pick at quarterback. But they've done, I think, a nice job of eliminating as many excuses as possible for Cam Ward. And when I say excuses, I mean maybe not even excuses, but reasons for why it's hard to get a full evaluation of him, right? There's a lot to be excited about last year, but you come away with it saying, okay, now let's see what it looks like when he's not just throwing to 2 rookie 4th-rounders the whole season, right? Where the offensive line takes until December to figure out how to run block, and you actually have a run game to lean on to help your quarterback when he's not running for his life. All of these things, if you can just eliminate those excuses one by one, for me right now, it feels like the ceiling for this team is can they just be in the discussion, man? Can they just be in the hunt there? Can they be when CBS throws up that graphic in December with the playoff hunt? Can that brand new Titans logo be sitting up there? Because it's been a couple years since you could say that.
Yeah, that would be very nice to have back. But that's the only thing about the AFC South is who knows what you're going to get? Like,
who knows?
We would have never expected the Jags to be as good as they were last year, and then these teams kind of rising up every year. I mean, I understand injury happened, but the Colts were pretty damn good there for a while. Easy 8 games, I understand that, but still, they were leaders of the pack for a long time, and you're like, man, this Daniel Jones thing's kind of working out.
It's working out.
It's one of those, if this floor is raised, health is wealth, who knows? I don't think, obviously, I have zero expectations to win the division, but I do think there's probably going to be another weird shakeup in the AFC South because it's what happens. Same thing in the NFC South sometimes, I feel like. It's just who can make it to 500 some years and, maybe you can be pretty good. I have faith. I have faith this is going to be a better team. Again, we talked about it too, is Salah's in a little bit of the honeymoon phase. He's selling the crap out of this team right now. Like, people like him. He's like, all right, we got it. We got a revigorated, rejuvenated man. He's back. He's not the Jets coach anymore. So I do feel like Nashville's a little inspired by this, especially this weekend. I think Anthony Hill Jr. is going to be a nice addition to them. Again, I don't know what were your thoughts on him, because he was a fun one to talk about the next day. Everybody was like, he's a prototype. Long, fast, and violent, baby. I love that little saying from Barganzi. I was like, love the keynotes.
Yeah, no doubt. And Borgonzi's an easy guy to kind of, go ahead and hit your wagon to if you're a fan, right? No BS, like the all ball, all day sort of cliche mantra. But he really does personify that. Like, the dude just doesn't care about anything else. And you can see it in the way that he operates, in the way he deals with the media, in the day-to-day. And that's something that you absolutely love to see if you're a Titans fan. But to your point, yeah, the AFC South has taken some wild twists and turns. feels like the Jags are currently at the top of the heap in terms of that trajectory. Trevor Lawrence coming off the best year of his career, only year one of the Liam Cohen era. They try to keep stockpiling talent there. Their draft wasn't loved, I don't think, by, the experts out there coming off the weekend, but who knows what this division is going to look like this year. There's so many questions. Will C.J. Stroud get out of this weird funk that we've seen him in? Will the Texans defense continue to dominate the way they have? Will Daniel Jones, if and when Daniel Jones will be available, has so much to do with the Colts' success in 2026. So then there's that little window for the Titans to maybe try and make some noise there. But I think we are to a point here where they got to kick the ball off and show it, right? I mean, for the last 2 off seasons, it's kind of been this runaround where they had the massive free agency offseason in 2024. Last year, going into 2025, there was the hope with Cam Ward at quarterback, an improvement and a year 2 jump under Brian Callahan. None of that has transpired. So you can sit here and love some of the things they've done, some of the character guys they've brought in, but at the end of the day, man, we just got to see how this thing takes shape in what, to your point, has been a weird division.
Very strange. Very strange. Y'all good at transition to college?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, can I ask one more thing about the Titans?
Fire away, G.
Yeah. I want to ask one more thing about the Titans. When it comes to the offseason that they've had and bringing in the players that they've brought in, a couple new offensive linemen, Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously from the Giants with Dayball. And then, of course, you've got Cordero Flott, who was there with the Giants as well. You got the tight end, Daniel Bellinger. So you're seeing some of the holdovers from the Giants come and join the Titans, which is kind of cool. You mentioned Jermaine Johnson. You've got Alontae Taylor, the former Vol, in here as well in the secondary. Out of all of these guys that they've brought in, kind of trying to reshape this roster, give me like 1 or 2 guys that you're like really excited about the fits in this offense and or defense.
John Franklin Myers, like no doubt in my mind. Jeffrey Simmons is coming off the best year of his NFL career. He was the best defensive tackle in football last year. And to pair him with a pass rush threat from the interior like John Franklin Myers, like I said earlier, I think is going to be the best situation Jeff has been in since he became Jeffrey Simmons, as we know him now, as an all-pro caliber D tackle, and the way that it can open things up on the edge with some inexperienced edge rushers that are going to have to take a developmental leap this year, like Famuyiwa Adejo and obviously Kedrick Falk. And there's some depth in there, and Jermaine Johnson is a guy that has played under Robert Saleh. So has Franklin Myers, by the way. I mean, they went heavy on the former Saleh Dable guys, but no question in my mind to be able to just collapse the pocket from the interior. Quickest way to a quarterback is from right there in the middle of the defensive line, and Jeffrey Simmons and John Franklin Myers are just going to be matchup nightmares for teams to deal with.
Yeah, those are going to be obviously 2 really big pieces on the interior. I know the boys said we wanted to transition to college, so I guess I'll jump us off just by asking a little bit about the Vols and some of the guys that were picked in the draft this year. And start off with the first guy that came off the board in Colton Hood, 2nd round, 37th overall, to the aforementioned New York Giants. Tell me a little bit about Hood and how do you think he fits with the Giants, and do you like that home for him there in New York?
Well, first of all, we didn't expect him to be the first Vol off the board, right? Certainly not the first Vols corner off the board. It's kind of crazy what happened with Jermon McCoy over the weekend. But yeah, I think there's opportunity there. Like you mentioned, Cordell Flott. The Giants expected to re-sign Cordell Flott. I don't think going into the offseason, New York thought they were going to have that sort of need at corner. And then, he kind of signed with the Titans out of the blue, which was his right as a free agent, and they were left with an empty spot there. And so I think he's going to have a great chance to go in and compete and potentially be a starter on day one, Colton Hood. I think that's potentially a great landing spot for him, and we'll see if the Giants can get things right with some stability and John Harbaugh taking over up there. But Jermon McCoy obviously was the story, right, of the Tennessee players in the draft. And the question is, can he have that sort of Trey Smith resurgence? May not be to the tune of 2 Super Bowls and the highest paid player in your respective position. He doesn't have Pat Mahomes playing quarterback for his team, but I'm fascinated to see what happens with Jermon McCoy in the near future and what decisions are made on whether or not he's going to be able to be on the field his rookie year.
Makes me sad. I was kind of wondering, I just couldn't believe the fall. It feels weird.
Like, was his knee truly that bad, Lucas? Could you share, have you heard anything? Because we, of course, talked about it. Like, we knew there would be some type of slide, but I'm thinking like a first 10 picks of the second round slide.
At worst, yeah.
At worst.
I thought we were still in the second round no matter what.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that's where most people thought his floor was going to be. I mean, obviously, he misses the season with the ACL tear. You know, that's one thing. He doesn't work out at the combine. I was there in Indy. I remember that being kind of the buzz of that particular day. We all found out that morning that Jamal McCoy wasn't going to run, and it sounded like he just wasn't. He hadn't had enough time to ramp up to be the best version of himself. He kept reiterating that he was healthy, and then he did work out at the Vols Pro Day, and he crushed it. And you thought, okay, right back up to that top 12, top 15 discussion. But the issue with Jamal McCoy, which popped up really a few days before the draft, has been, and this is me just regurgitating, reports, the medicals that have come out on that, essentially a cartilage defect in that same knee, a complication that can arise from a repaired knee from an ACL surgery. His knee was repaired with a bone plug, which is pretty much taking the bone from somewhere else in the knee and applying it to that area, something that could very well need another procedure here moving forward. And he talked about it after he was finally picked in the 4th round. If the Raiders, he says he can play, he says he's good to go, but if the Raiders want him to get another surgery, he'll get another surgery. They're going to be at an interesting crossroads, I think, because the guy hasn't played football since December of 2024, like since that Vols playoff loss at Ohio State. So if you choose to shut him down, to go ahead and get that knee fixed for the longevity of his career, then you're talking about 3 years of not playing a snap of football competitively and doing it after that long break for the first time in the NFL, compared to throwing him out there and risking something for the longevity of his future as a corner. So it's an interesting spot, but there's no doubt about the value, right? You're at pick 101. You might as well go ahead and get who most people believe, when fully healthy, is the best corner in the draft.
For sure.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is kind of one of those situations that he might have been a good product to bring back to college, especially in this world? Like, go back, make some more money, because obviously it's a huge jump in financials from your first round to your 7th round. So he's somebody that probably could have benefited financially in the short term from coming back if he was healthy enough. But if he's not healthy enough, it doesn't make any sense. Go ahead, get on an NFL roster, take care of yourself full time. But do you think he was a guy that would have been better off coming back to Tennessee?
Well, hindsight definitely being 2020, I think if you're Jamal McCoy and you look at it, that first round money, certainly far surpasses whatever sort of NIL mark he would have gotten coming back. 4th round, it's a different discussion. But again, man, if there's a situation here where he has to be shut down, which very much feels like it's on the table to go ahead and get this surgery done, then I think you'd be talking about potentially another year where you don't have a lot of Jamal McCoy availability for Tennessee. So I don't know. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, that it would be better off for him to come back. But certainly it looks better now, having gone at pick 101 instead of pick 13, which is the ballpark of where he was being projected.
Yeah, it's crazy different money. Also, we'll talk about Brazel real quick. Thought it was a good situation for him. I think that's a good situation for a guy that could be a solid number 2, big boy. It's not the same thing. I'm not trying to compare him to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but I'm just saying that could be a situation where you have like this ginormous, towering number 2. And since you already have Tet, that's a pretty good situation for him as the young boys.
I don't hate that.
It's not the worst.
I don't hate that shot.
I don't think it's the worst comparison, T's a little different.
Yeah, man. Young ascending quarterback, right? There's going to be plenty of opportunity there. It was Tet McMillan and then a little bit of Jalen Coker and nobody else in that receiver room last year.
God, Jalen Coker was your 2 option, man.
Y'all forgot about Xavier Leggett.
Yeah.
It's what I'm saying. Leggett just hasn't really been what you need out of a first-round draft pick in his first 2 years, even if it's a guy that came out on the back end of the first round. I think Chris Brazel, to me, when you talk about importance to Tennessee's program, one of these receivers just has to translate in the NFL. It just has to happen. I mean, Tennessee fans, as you guys know, many of us are, having gone to school there and all of that, but can get a little sensitive at times, right? And Vols fans don't love being told that offense doesn't quite prepare players for the NFL, especially receivers. But the proof's just in the pudding, man. Like, it is what it is. At times, it's just a completely different game that Tennessee receivers are playing than what they're going to be asked to play in the NFL. And Josh Heupel can get the credit for putting those players in position to get drafted. He absolutely did. But it is a fact. Those players have a longer developmental curve than most other wide receivers coming out of more traditional sort of pro-style offenses. And Tennessee tweaked some things, and Tennessee looked more like that kind of offense in 2025 than they did in 2022, no doubt. But it's still going to be a challenge for them, and it's going to be sort of the stigma that's not going to go away until one of these guys just gets on the field and brings some high-level, instant impact production to the NFL.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. I mean, you can go kind of down the list. Cedric Tillman, I thought was going to be a 1 somewhere. Like, and you see what the Browns drafted, KC Concepcion, like they
drafted
took him.
Denzel Boston.
Yeah, so it's like there's obviously they're not satisfied. So yeah, Lucas, I think that's a great point, man.
Yeah, and Jalen Hyatt too. And neither of those guys landed in favorable spots, right? They've had a carousel of quarterbacks. They've had multiple head coaches. I mean, it's the Browns for Christ's sakes. But at the same time, Dante Thornton too in Vegas, not a great situation for him last year.
No.
But this is a big opportunity. I think more is riding in terms of the 5 Vols that got taken in this draft. More is riding on Chris Brazzell than anybody else for the benefit of Tennessee as a program.
Yep.
Exciting times. G, you got anything else Tennessee
I'm
related?
good.
Okay. Lucas, man, you got anything?
Oh yeah. One more thing. I'm going to ask you about the Pavia situation. What's the feel around Nashville right now with Diego Pavia, the UFL? What's the likelihood of him making it around the Ravens for another season?
Yeah, it came up a few weeks ago where somebody said, man, that dude might be a CFL legend at some point. Doesn't that just feel like a perfect situation for him? But I don't think there was any element of surprise, right? And honestly, like I don't necessarily agree with the discourse that if Diego Pavia had, been more humble and kept his mouth shut and all this, like he would have been a 5th-round pick or something. I don't think so, man. Like, 2 things can be true. It did not help Diego Pavia, sort of his disposition, his demeanor, which, by the way, is one of the main reasons for his success in overcoming everything that he's been presented with in his career. But at the end of the day, he's a 5'10 quarterback that just has some athletic limitations. And if Garrett Nussmeier is going to fall all the way to the 7th round, Diego Pavia wasn't going to get drafted before a guy like Garrett Nussmeier with that talent. And I know for him it was injury related, but
for sure.
I do think it's interesting. Teams want competition, right, in every spot. But honestly, other than quarterback, like if you have a full-on competition in your quarterback room, you probably don't have a very good quarterback situation, right? Like, there are not a lot of teams that are having starting quarterback battles, and the ones that are because they don't know what they have in their number 1 quarterback. So it's interesting because Diego Pavia is the type of guy that's going to say that he expects to be the starter and he expects to do what he's done at every stop. And I don't know that teams really want that dynamic in, a QB3, during training camp and preseason saying he's going to be the guy and all this stuff. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I fully expect him to compete. I do not expect Diego Pavia to go quietly in this situation, but I do think people have used this kind of as an opportunity to come back around to dunk on Pavia for some of the stuff he was really loud about in his career. And of course there's criticism there, but to say that that's the biggest reason he didn't get drafted, to me, it's like, okay, it's kind of just ignoring a lot of the other factors.
Yeah, he really is bad for short clips. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah.
But he was great. I had a little time last week on the airplane. I was watching the him and the Gruden breakdown.
That was good stuff, yeah.
He sells me, man. Like, I still, there's something about Pavia. Like, sure, would I want my daughter dating him? Probably not.
No way.
But like, he's a guy that can play, hell of a competitor. Just one of those dudes just doesn't fit well in the NFL draft world. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fair to say. But if that dude, and to be clear, like he's going to rookie minicamp with the Ravens, which is essentially a tryout, right? He's not signing a UDFA contract. We'll see what kind of opportunity he gets. But if Diego Pavia enters a preseason game somewhere this fall, I'm going to be watching.
Heck yeah, that's going to sell some tickets somewhere. Especially, if he winds up somewhere that does play in Nashville, that'll work. Even if somebody needs some tickets for a week, that's going to be a perfect sign-up, dude. There you go. You'll sell merch. Promise you that.
No doubt, no doubt.
Lucas, man, where can we go find information about you and everywhere you're doing work in Nashville, man? Because you're crushing it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's at Lucas Panzica is where you can find me on socials. We're out there for Nashville SC games, the Titan stuff. We're on every day on 104.5 The Zone. just kind of trying to get through this offseason. So I tell you what, though, this summer, I mean, I'm going to be locked in with the World Cup coming up. I think the countdown's at 48 days, and so I'm going to be all about that. Can't wait for that to take over.
Oh, we gotta get. That's our soccer guy.
Yeah, facts.
We've been looking
Big
for a soccer guy.
facts.
We've
Love
got
that.
our
Oh, there
soccer
you go.
guy.
Y'all are in Chattanooga, Tennessee. There's plenty of soccer folks around there, but
they're not you, Lucas.
They're not
Lucas.
you, Lucas. They ain't got that quaff going on, dude. Look at that thing. Look at that nice head of hair.
Oh man.
No, let me know, man. Let me know when I'm here.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you, Lucas.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, boys. Good to
You're
see
the
you
man.
guys.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate
Good
it.
to see you too. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chatt It Up Sports. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow at Chatt It Up Sports for all of the latest content. We talked a little Titans, a little Vols, but now let's go back to my home state because the real Georgia boys go to Tennessee, and I'm joined by a Georgia boy and brother of mine and a long-term friend of mine, man. You guys have seen him on the podcast before. Y'all, 3 claps for my dog, Mr. Caleb Johnson. C, what's up, boy?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? How are you?
I am good. I'm really good. It's funny, you asked me off the broadcast if I'm tired, and today, no. If you had asked me that yesterday before I was able to catch up on some sleep, absolutely, because it's been a busy time in Georgia sports, specifically with the Hawks, but they're keeping us busy and stressed right now, if I'm completely honest.
That's all right.
You're not-
We'll give you a respite in a couple games.
Yeah, no, it's fine. They'll take care of business at home on Thursday. It's all
Sure,
good.
sure.
You're not alone because you got Chase here
That's right, dog.
as well.
I'm here with you, buddy.
He's a huge Hawks fan.
What a weird time. You give whatever 5 short days ago, I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna rout this team, and then we come back down to earth because you're like, oh yeah, Jonathan Kuminga can't do this for 3 straight games. So I don't know. Where's your head at, Caleb? How do you feel about this Hawks team so far? Back and forth series for them.
Yeah, I think, if I'm completely honest, I think the Hawks are in a pretty lucky position right now to be tied in this series 2 games apiece. I know, obviously coming in, this was a team riding a high of an impressive kind of finish to the year, going, 20-6 after the All-Star break and doing some really impressive things and seeing some guys perform and I think outperform what we really kind of expected them to be. CJ McCollum being the head of that snake of guys that you're like, oh, still has some gas left in the tank. So I think from like that aspect, it's been really cool to see. And the Hawks, I think, are kind of riding this why not us kind of mentality, which has been really fun. However, I think Game 4 was a nice kick to the gut, slap in the face, whatever you want to call it. I think it was a good reality check for this team that even I talked to Nikhil Alexander-Walker after Game 4, just kind of getting his thoughts of, hey, if I told you before the series that you'd be tied at 2 games apiece, how do you kind of feel you would think of that? And he's like, well, we would feel really good about that. It is just like, and he was like, it's not like we thought we were going to sweep New York or really kind of this be an easy series. I think they felt some momentum after Game 3. Like a lot of people say momentum isn't a real thing, but when you have that kind of surreal moment on your home floor, I think a lot of people thought it would carry them into Game 4. However, I'll be honest with you guys, like I never usually make too big of like pregame warm-ups or anything like that, but just the overall feel of the arena for Game 4, the fact that the Hawks went from having Soulja Boy and Pastor Troy making performances to a little scrappy, which was like cool. That was fun. They went from having T-shirts to having rally towels, and that was just like it felt like the overall energy. There were much more Knicks fans, I'll say that, at Game 4 than there were at Game 3, because a lot of people, obviously from New York, live in the Atlanta area. They showed up for Game 4 and they had something to cheer for. And so I think it's very interesting to see kind of the cat and mouse game between Quinn Snyder and Mike Brown, and to see, is New York able to continue to use Cat as kind of the guy that the offense runs through like they did in Game 4 that worked out so well.
Gee, I know you're chomping at the bit, brother. So I will let you do it.
I'm not, because I'm not even really worried. I mean, the Hawks it's been a fun story. They're a good little team, and the CJ McCollum stuff has been fun. Like Caleb said, he's got some juice left in him. It's great. I'm confident the Knicks will win this series. There's no reason they shouldn't win this series. If they lose this series, in my opinion, it's one of the worst playoff losses the Knicks have ever had. So I'm not really worried about it sitting here. I'll be honest. But the Hawks have put up a good fight, and it's been a good little run for them. And if they beat us, I'll be happy for you, Chase and Caleb. But I don't expect to lose the series.
I'll take it a step further. If the Knicks do lose this series, I think you blow up that team officially.
You have to.
Oh, you've got to. Have to.
I think it's a travesty. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think you've got the best out of Jalen Johnson. I mean, you just talked about, obviously CJ McCollum and his incredible 30-plus ball. I don't know, man. I just think, and Caleb, I got a question for you, is that, like, Jalen Johnson, we know. I mean, the kid he's a LeBron James disciple. You look at him, he's incredible, but it feels like at times during this series, I mean, as the alpha, as the one, moment's been a little bright. Do you think he has that performance in the tank, or is this just truly a bad matchup when it comes to this Knicks team?
So the thing that I have been pointing out to people ever since that he essentially, at the start of this series, didn't look particularly great. It looked like, oh, he's a bit overwhelmed. And I genuinely, I do think to some extent that is happening to Jalen Johnson right now.
Yeah.
I always have to emphasize this point, which is this is Jalen Johnson's first real playoff series.
For sure.
For people who kind of forget what it's been like for the Hawks the last couple of years, the last time the Hawks made the playoffs was 2023, playing in the first round against the Boston Celtics, and Jalen Johnson played 5 minutes in Game 6, the closeout game for that series. He was just at a completely different point of his career. And so I think where Jalen's at now is he's a first-time All-Star. And when he started off the year, he had Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis playing alongside him, and that was kind of the expectation of he was a piece, but he was certainly not the guy, the star. And I think Jalen is naturally, just his personality style is passive. It's kind of I don't need to be the face, I don't need to be the guy, I don't need to be the spokesperson. And yet fans are kind of well, we need somebody to fill the void because Trae stepped out. So somebody needs to be that, and certainly we're not going to put it on 34-year-old TJ McCollum. It's got to be somebody else. And I think a lot of people are having a hesitancy to make it Nickeil Alexander-Walker, even though Nickeil is the leader on this team. As someone who spends a lot of time in the locker room, Nickeil is so well thought out in how he explains himself to the media, and he literally just won the Sekou Smith Award for his professionalism with the media. But he's one of those guys who is a natural leader. And he's just kind of been fighting his career to get this opportunity because he's always looked at as Shai's cousin. And so it's difficult, though, because the talent is clearly there with Jalen. And people are kind of so Jalen should be that guy. I think what's happened to him in this series is he is finally coming to terms with, you got to make that decision. You can't be so passive. He's been one that working the broadcast, especially Game 3, I thought Steve Holman was going to lose his mind screaming at Jalen Johnson because of how many times he'd get to the top of the key, do that nice little pump fake, and attempt to drive, but he was really just kind of looking for the foul. And that's something that I think this series is going to help him grow with. But, if we're totally honest, he's not been ready for the moment so far. I think this is a good series for him to be able to gain that ability, because going back to where I kind of started is just the simple fact of this is his first real playoff series. And because of how long he's been in the league and how other guys have done on other teams, people kind of forget and they expect him to be more of the guy.
And you mentioned Trae Young being there and was the guy up until halfway through this season, basically, when he got traded. So it's a really different role that he's had to just sort of jump into and was sort of thrown in his lap. And it's like, you're right, he didn't really have all that much time to prepare for it. So you kind of understand a little bit, but obviously as sports fans, we want things and we want it right now and in the way that we see it's supposed to be. So I guess what has been, other than, CJ McCollum, what has surprised you most when it comes to the Hawks in this series against the Knicks?
It's got to be Jonathan Kuminga, just because he is pure chaos. He has been the X factor. I think he is the reason why that they're tied to 2, because of what you can get from him when things are going well. But then game 4, when he's off, the problem that they dealt with in Golden State and the problem that I see of him until he matures more, and I think that's just really finding a place where he feels like he belongs, because I think the whole situation in Golden State, he felt like an outcast the entire time there. And so essentially I think what he played into was just like, I'm going to get mine and I'm going to take my shots no matter what. His basketball IQ, I think, has got to grow, because in game 4, he just kept putting up shots and it was like, dude, the three's not falling. Please drive to the basket. But how good he was in games 2 and 3, I think, were outside of CJ's really impressive shots, were what carried the Hawks. And so it's kind of been this back and forth of who's actually going to shoot well. I think that's kind of been an issue for the Hawks all season, though, is just not being able to find that consistency shooting. And so to get Nikhil shooting really well in game 4, and then pretty much everybody else just didn't have their shot going. I think it's been JK that's been the one that I've if you can just rein him in. If Quinn can be the guy, because clearly Steve Kerr was not the one who could figure that out, and I think egos, got the best of each other on both sides of that. I think if Quinn Snyder can be the one to figure out how to rein him in, we are looking at a playoff series win for the Hawks. But it's just I can't say that I have a ton of optimism, just because he is pure chaos when he's out there, and no one but JK knows what he's going to do.
Yeah. And that was the first time you've seen him play inside, really play inside the offense for those 2 games. You're like, oh man, this guy could really be it. With Jalen, too, Hart's giving him hell. Really has. Until last game, Hart has been a dud. I mean, an absolute zero offensively. So when you get that from Hart, and if you unlock Cat, then that's going to be a huge issue. We're just not going to win that matchup. And Jalen's like, man, you weren't even able to really match Hart last game. And Hart's just caused him problems on the defensive end. And like you mentioned, it's just so different in the playoffs. Him and Nikhil have really struggled. Do you feel like from those guys, I mean, you're talking to him on the reg here, do you feel like from those guys, they have the ability mentally to do the bounce back this week?
I think it's possible. Mentally, I think that's kind of the tough part of it all, is because skill set, I know they have it.
Yes.
It is just it is that between the ears kind of thing, because that's, someone that honestly we wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on this podcast talking about, that I certainly, if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, I thought would have been a part of this, series. If you told me the Hawks were going to make the playoffs, I would have said, well, Zachary Rizachet is going to have a big part of all of that. And the reason why that man is played only in, scrub time essentially has been what's going on between the years, because the talent is all there. But the other part of that is what's difficult to figure out. Not to state the obvious, but game 5 is going to show us if the Hawks have that ability mentally, because I'm someone that thinks if they lose in the Garden in game 5, I just have a really hard time believing that this Hawks team, as new as they are together, even with the veterans that they have, I just have a hard time believing that they could pull out a game 6 and then go back to the Garden and pull out a game 7. And so that's kind of the tough part of figuring this series out, how long it's going to go, is really I think it hinges on game 5. If it goes the Hawks' way, then yeah, this thing could go to 7. If the Knicks win game 5, I think it goes back to Atlanta, and we're wrapping this thing up.
Well, only time will tell. I want to take you up the road if you don't mind, though, and get
Yeah.
that off the screen. Let's go up the road to Flowery Branch. And let's talk about a great draft by the Atlanta Falcons.
You're calling it
GM.
great.
Yeah.
Calling it great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm calling
Wow.
it great. The reason I'm calling it great,
The eternal optimist.
I am always optimistic. If you would have told me in 2024 that you would get Avion Terrell, you would get Zachariah Branch, and you would get my man Harold from LSU, I mean, that was what, 3 first-round picks? 2024, Mr. Joseph Guthrie, could you please be an insider for me if you don't mind?
I mean, at the time, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, Harold Perkins was probably projected. Gosh, after his freshman season, dude, I think he was
Yeah.
projected like a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
And then
Toward
what
the
happens,
ACL.
yeah, what happens. I don't know if he ever fully recovered from the ACL tears, but same. I mean, coming out of high school, Zachariah Branch was the next Tyreek Hill. That was the label assigned to him. So I don't know if at that size, like realistically, when you look at him playing a receiver position at that size with the roles he fits into, he was ever really projected to be like as high as maybe Harold was. But second round pick, maybe late first round pick if his college career had taken a different trajectory, especially with his second year at USC. But like Avion Terrell's in the bloodline.
In the bloodline, man.
I mean, he's a high profile guy coming out of Clemson, and you got all 3 of them.
Caleb, how do you feel about the draft? Because I saw your face. You looked at me kind of weird just now, so I wanted to know if you had beef or did you not enjoy the draft? So you tell me.
No, I thought it was good. Like I did a local TV appearance here over the weekend on 11 Alive, and they asked, and I always hate being asked like draft grades, just because so subjective, and what do we really know? Like we got to see this thing kind of play out a little bit. But just in that instant gut reaction kind of feeling, like, do I like what Atlanta did versus you looking over it like, I don't know, maybe a Jacksonville or a Cleveland. Like I think there are some teams that made some, or San Francisco, making some massive reaches on guys, and looking at the fact that Atlanta didn't have the first round pick, and that's something that hey, if we look at production on the field, I think they felt pretty good about that pick until things turned out how they did, and they might still end up playing James Pierce Jr. later on. I have no idea how that whole situation is going to turn out. For not having a first-round pick, though, and getting Avion Terrell, we had Dabo Sweeney on 92.9 right after the pick happened, and it was really cool to hear from Dabo talk about, like, as much as these guys are brothers, very different players. Like, Avion is a guy who left Clemson as the all-time leader in forced fumbles. Like, he is... he wreaks havoc in his ability to get the ball out. And that's with the fact that now everyone is freaking out because Avion shows up to Flowery Branch, he daps up Matt Ryan, and everyone goes, hold up, there's a massive height difference here. Like, what's going on? Like, I think, Avion's every bit of 5'11", but that's okay. I truly, like, I don't think the size is that big of an issue when it comes to his position. I am very curious to see about Zachariah Branch because he's someone that I thought underutilized at Georgia, and this was, I think, the Falcons kind of doing they love to say best player available, but the Falcons were clearly addressing needs with the guys they were selecting, and I think Branch is just someone that can impact not only the slot game, but be a returner. I truly think that Zachariah Branch is gonna be in the running to be, kick returner, punt returner, wherever they kind of want to put him, just because that speed was so elusive when he was at Georgia, and he can't be to blame for the fact that Gunnar Stockton was throwing him the football. That's not his fault. But I really do think that he can be someone special. I just was interested that the other names that were available where the Falcons picked, that they opted for speed over, maybe potentially size, and maybe that was because they feel obviously very comfortable with Drake London. I think Perkins, you guys talked about, like, he's the one that I think this draft could potentially hinge on, just like when you look back on it in 3-4 years where you either go like, yeah, the Falcons, they did okay with their guys, or if Perkins is actually able to get healthy and pops, then you start looking at things a little bit differently. And I think the one that even fewer people are actually going to talk about when it comes to the Falcons, but I know like here in Atlanta gets mentioned is Antonio Thompson, and just like he is freak of nature that needs to be coached. And the other part is the Falcons haven't exactly had a great track record recently with Washington Huskies. And in fact, you've got Braylon Trice, who's never played. You got, obviously your quarterback, who maybe isn't your quarterback of the future. And then, you just had your right tackle and Caleb McGarry retire. So hopefully some better juju for the Falcons when it comes to, drafting from up there in Washington.
I'm getting us matching do-rags. You need to stop and getting on board. Come on.
Yeah, that's Malcolm. That's really what I need to worry about is like getting the waves going. That's my focus in 2026.
Has there ever been a Caleb do-rag?
No. But like Caleb would look so cool. You kind of look like our very own version of like Belly Gang Cushington. You know what I'm saying?
He's another one that performed at the Hawks game. It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe he got Atlanta police paid him a little visit in the last 48 to 72. Yeah, stop
by if you will.
Yeah, Belly Gang is belly up right now, but I think he'll get out soon. So that's a clip if I've ever seen it, boy.
Free Belly Gang.
Free Belly Gang Cushington, man.
Man.
G, you got something for my man?
I do. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this draft class. And I know we just kind of went through most of it, but was there a position you were hoping that they would attack that they didn't attack more of? Or was there a guy you were hoping that they were going to be able to grab, maybe that they passed on that you were a little surprised of? Talk to me a little bit more about those things, C.
Yeah, I think I wondered if they would address the offensive line before waiting all the way till the very end. What I think it was their Aniauna. I have a terrible way of pronouncing their last pick.
We'll
but,
forgive you.
Yeah, they waited till the end. That kind of surprised me a little bit. I guess it was the Zachariah Branch spot where I was like, okay, are they confident enough in who they've got to kind of run it back, or do they feel the need to address the offensive line, right there in the third? There wasn't really anyone that I was, I guess, angry they passed on. It was just more of how confident they are in the guys that they went with being like long-term solutions, because it was also, I think, figuring out like Ian Cunningham's style of what he wants to do in the draft. I have a bit of pause, I guess, to go, if my idea doesn't match up with what Cunningham is doing, let him cook, like let him see what the whole plan is, just because I think he's done a really good job in Chicago putting that team together, or being a big piece of putting that team together along with Caleb Williams, that's wanting to contend and be a playoff team. And so for this to be Matt's first run, kind of putting it all together, seeing the philosophy from Ian Cunningham of local guys, like Falcons fans have been dying for, some Georgia Bulldogs to get drafted, and it's finally happened. And then they even went and picked up Cash Jones on the undrafted market, and I think that's kind of a potential fun one to be another, back in that room potentially if he makes the roster, to kind of shake things up and to bring a different element to this offense that I think, quite honestly, in 2026 is going to be struggling. Because, guys, I'll tell you right now, I have zero belief in Tua Tagovailoa, and I really, really, really just don't know what we're going to get with Penix and how healthy he can be.
Right now, does it feel like, is it still Penix's job?
No, I don't think
it's
it
not.
is.
Okay.
So to my understanding, and now I am not someone who is out in Flowery Branch on a daily basis, but I talk to my friends who are out there regularly, and from my understanding, it is Tua's job and it is going to be it is going to be Michael Penix who is going to have to beat out Tua, which is a crazy thing to say. But I think the crazier thing is honestly any Falcons fan who decides to buy a number 1 jersey right now. That's just like you just hate yourself, I think, if you go out and you buy a Tua jersey right now. But I think also like this is the smart way that Matt Ryan and Ian Cunningham are going about it, where they didn't reach for a quarterback. And I guess, Greg, like that's a thing that I was curious to see is when you saw what's his name in LSU? I'm blanking right now.
Grant Nussmeier.
Nussmeier. Yeah, like when
Garrett
you saw
Nussmeier.
Nussmeier falling, the temptation of just like, let's grab him and see. Like the fact that they didn't do something like that and add fuel to the fire of what's already a chaotic quarterback room that I think is going to change in 2027. I think that kind of showed me some things that I think honestly, like Terry Fontenot would have 100% grabbed Nussmeier and been like, yeah, let's see if we got a steal, and it'd be Desmond Ridder all over again.
Because he would have played at some point this season. I hate to say that with these two guys at quarterback.
Oh, the third string quarterback, whoever that ends up being for the Atlanta Falcons, will play in 2026. Mark my words. It's going to happen.
Don't say like, why are you being like that, bro?
Malcolm, like
I do know.
It's the guy who has so many concussions that it's literally changed his personality, and he should be out of the league. And a guy who now has 2 injured legs and has had 1 injured leg since college. And I just don't know if he can stand upright, and he still hasn't proven. We'll see if it happens in 2026, if he can actually take consistent reps under center.
Well, you do have Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. That is.
Are you guys going to add another lefty? Do we know if there's a third lefty?
Who's out there? Yeah, I don't even
Let's
know.
just add Anthony Richardson, though.
Yeah, Malcolm, that's a good idea. Let's add more chaos to the quarterback room by a guy that is clearly needs a new change of scenery, but I would not touch Anthony Richardson. I think that's a project for the UFL.
Bingo. Send him and Pavia there.
There we go.
Huge.
Yes. Let him tear up the league.
Let him
and
cook.
Drive up ratings.
They're battling it out in Louisville, Kentucky, late in the season. Let's do it.
Shout out to the person on Twitter that also mentioned the fact that Diego Pavia is in mini camp for the Ravens instead of the full size training camp, and I was like, just genius.
Dog.
Genius.
Love that.
We had a Nashville boy on right before you, dude. So it's perfect.
We were talking about him.
Yeah, I'll gladly take all the shots because fun college story, but come on.
Just doesn't translate to the NFL draft guy. That's okay. Legend. Made a ton of money, but changed Vanderbilt
Beat Alabama.
sports.
Beat the hell out of Tennessee.
Changed
I wasn't gonna go there,
sports
Miggy.
for an entire school. I'll say that.
And a different time would have a career set for life as a car salesman or owner of a dealership potentially at one point. But, now with the NIL world, I genuinely and honestly, his ego, I think, is one that he believes he is far better than things are turning out. But the fact that I think it was Pat McAfee was out there throwing out that he should go to the UFL, I was like, yeah, there we go. Get some ratings for the spring league.
Yeah.
Why not?
He's perfect.
Play some ball.
Yeah. Show me. You're undrafted.
Keep
you got
showing
nothing to
me.
prove. Yeah. Be awesome. I did want to ask, too, what's real quick, I'll let you guys go back to football. Atlanta Braves first 20-win team. I did not expect this, buddy. I just wanted to say.
I didn't either. I was that commiserating Braves fan going the minute that all the injuries started happening, especially to the pitching staff. I was like, there is no way that this team can overcome this. This is going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. And I guess there's a little bit of that just Atlanta fandom in me that when I see the writing on the wall, I literally joked with some friends of well, at least we know this going into the season so that we don't have to get disappointed as things go along, because that's usually what it's been the last couple of years. It's been like all, hands on deck, like high hopes to start off the year, and then guys just get picked off one by one with injuries. But I think you're looking at, Dubon playing shortstop going, how did Houston just give him up? And then I think you're looking at, Michael Harris out in center field and going, what did this coaching staff do to get him hitting right that, Snit's staff just couldn't figure out? And now, granted, the hitting coach came from the Mets. He was, fired up there and is fitting in, I think, pretty perfectly with, this Braves team right now. If they could get Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna Jr. going. And that's kind of the funny thing is it's kind of similar to what's happening with the Hawks is, you have some of your bigger names like Jalen Johnson, Nikhil Alexander-Walker haven't had their big moments in the playoffs. And for the Braves, they're waiting on two of their better hitters, and especially, their MVP and Ronald Acuna Jr. still isn't hitting well, and neither is Austin Riley, and yet they're winning games because you got guys like Eli White hitting homers.
Yeah.
And,
Dom Smith.
Yeah,
Dom Smith,
and Dom
baby.
Smith,
Drake,
that one just came out of nowhere. Like I thought he was done. Like this was just a nice little pickup to have a bench option to turn to, and instead, those guys combined with, I think the future, the up and coming face of this team is Drake Baldwin, because about 2 weeks ago when the City Connect jerseys came out, I purchased a number 30 because I really do believe in Drake Baldwin. Like the bat is just insane. It's so much fun to watch, and it's fun to have the Braves be back potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to go to games and think this team has a real shot.
I'm not going to let you end this Brave segment without showing some love to Big Bat Matt, by the way. Matt Olson has been playing amazing the last three weeks. And I'll just
He has. And, I think I would probably I would mention him more often if he didn't have the personality of a sheet of paper. But
he's not interesting at all. He's a great ball player.
Just the nicest guy ever. And I've gotten a few opportunities. I don't spend as much time covering the Braves as I do the Hawks. But just the nicest guy, and does some great work for special needs community, specifically autism, with some of the charities that he and his wife are involved in. But just the blandest of saltine cracker personalities. And it's fine. And it's also, here's another thing that I want you guys to pay attention to. If you're not watching Braves games on a regular basis, watch when Matt Olson hits a home run. He looks disgusted that the pitcher threw that. Oh, come on, man. You really put it right in the middle for me to put. It's hilarious to watch because he's doing it on a regular basis now. He would do it occasionally in years past, but it was pointed out to me recently that it is a consistent thing right now. And in fact, I think someone made an edit of putting them all together of just the disgust on his face when he crushes the ball. But you're right, Malcolm. He's another fun one to watch play. Maybe just not hear from as much.
For sure.
Miggy, how did you know he was doing well?
Oh, come on, baby. I'm a Parkway Poorhouse legend, man. I was, I reaped the benefits of Matt Olson being able to put one over the
Yep, that's why.
So,
we got Braves vision back, baby. So it was to the point. It was to the point where I was like, the pitching staff is just falling apart left and right. And I was so excited we got this Braves vision. I'm gonna be able to watch it every day. It's been so long, and then everything was falling apart. And I was like, do I really want to spend my $100 to watch this garbage product that could be?
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not going to pass up on the chance. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Hannah hates it, I'm sure, but it's fine.
She loves sports. Big sports girl.
Yeah, we're still into basketball. She can still watch a little bit of that. It's Tennessee baseball. She still likes that, but
even without Tony V.
Yeah, even without Tony V.
Wow.
Because her family's into it, so we can piece together things. Got to pick our spots with our sports, boys. But getting Braves vision, I was like, we got it back, so I'm gonna have to just eat the $100 and let's watch.
What a treat!
The
big thing for me was the fact that it's on my TV now. Like, I was someone before that I had the FanDuel app, but all of the restrictions and everything that I had, the only way that I could watch it on my TV was to play it on my laptop and plug in an HDMI cable. And I was like, how are we in the year of our Lord 2025 and into this year 2026 and didn't have the ability to actually watch it on my TV unless I bought a cable subscription to Uverse or wherever they were actually
Ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, it was insane. So to get Braves Vision where you can watch it on the MLB app and pull it up on your TV was just it's the simple things, guys. But no, Malcolm, you said I guess Matt Olson helping out your pockets there.
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, like, are you keeping it in check when it comes to the gambling apps, or do you need to join Brendan Sorsby in checking into rehab for gambling?
We support our friends.
Listen, we support the Texas Tech Red Raiders, man. And with that being said, I've done better. But Brandon, seriously, it takes a lot of balls to do what you just did. There's a lot of guys when it comes to that. It's hard. So I get it. I've been there. I mean, I'll be candid with you guys. It sucks. So with that, thinking about you, Brendan, because I mean, have you guys read into this at all?
He was betting on balls and strikes, dude.
Yeah, he's done.
That's a next level.
Like he's going like at plate performances. I mean, he's going from what I read, like in like different like sports. Like I'm saying like darts. Like the heavy shit. Like
Look, 22, I think he's 22 maybe, 21, 22, with a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
So yeah,
22.
he's in it. He was apparently he might be looking at forfeiting his college eligibility because he was putting money on Indiana at the time.
He bet on a Indiana game. I don't think he played him. But that was what 2022.
Yeah.
When he did that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, thinking of him, but yes, trying to get better, man. Shout out to Mr. Shohei Ohtani tonight. Hopefully, man, righting his wrongs. So.
Talking about gambling and immediately going to Ohtani is like chef's kiss. Just
That's
You guys saw
Great
that,
work.
didn't
only our guy over here. Only Skinny Malcolm can do this now.
I'm
Parlay
glad y'all are
Prince.
calling him out for being skinny too, because I still am not getting used to this, Malcolm. I'm sorry.
Dude, every week I'm like, wow.
they? Thanks, bro. Yeah, it's been wild, but yeah, I appreciate it. I was just like, it's cool. It's like, oh, I can like wrap a towel around myself, and like, damn, I can tie my shoes and not be like, like it's like
How many clothes have you had to give up?
bro. Like I went through the closet. I'm like, I can't give this up, and it's about in the next 90 days. It's gonna be by my birthday. A lot of stuff is either gonna have to go or sell or I don't know. So yeah,
problem.
somebody
It's all worth
said I look like a husky Jalen Hurts over the weekend.
Yeah, especially with that new goatee too.
Yeah, with the goatee, they're like, husky Jalen Hurts. I got
What
told that I
prompted
look like
what prompted the goatee?
Well, man, I felt like I got alopecia or some shit, man, because it's just not connecting like it used to be of old. Like I felt like, like at Caleb's wedding, like I had like the perfect beard length and hair combo. Like it was beautiful.
Yep.
And the shit has just gone awry, and that may be due to like nicotine usage, or I don't know. It's just not
All
where I want
devices
it.
over here.
Yeah.
It's just not where I want it to be. So I was just like, you know what? Let me make the decision just to kind of start afresh. And that's where we're at. But
Can I throw a nickname in?
yeah,
Just
yeah,
all love.
okay.
Ozempic Suge Knight.
All right, yeah. Let's end the recording, bro. We good. End the recording, bro. End the recording, man. We good, man. Caleb, where can we find your information, bro? I'll come see about you. Don't worry about it.
Oh man, I hope you do. Like, come to town. It'd be great to see you.
Ozempic Suge Knight is absurd.
ATL Johnson, 18 is where I'm at on social media. Still working at 92.9 The Game and loving this, Hawks run. Hoping it can continue as long as possible because it is fun and would love a Game 7 against Greg's boys because I think they are. I think they're soft, but we'll see in Game 5.
We shall see. Go Hawks, baby.
Greg, are you gonna anything?
Nothing. I'm just gonna let the game speak for itself.
Well, hey, follow us on all platforms. Like,
Love you,
subscribe.
Chase. Or not, well, I do love you, Chase, but Caleb, I love you as well.
Love you too, man.
And Miggy, obviously, and Joseph.
I love you. Like, subscribe at Chatt It Up Sports for all the latest stuff. Y'all, we out. Peace.